president. A reminder that today, President Trump's key tool for deploying tariffs will face a critical legal test in the Supreme Court. The top court is hearing from states and businesses that argue Trump's use of a national security statute to hit nearly every nation with tariffs goes beyond the powers of the president. Trump used the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977 for his so-called Liberation Day tariffs and fentanyl-related duties on Canada, Mexico, and China. The Liberty Justice Center, which is representing small businesses in the hearing, has said Congress would not have intended to hand unrestricted powers to the president. I want to bring in William Pellerin now. He's an international trade lawyer at Macmillan LLP. Good morning. Thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, like in the U.S., Canadians are watching this hearing very closely. What's at stake for Canada?
So there's a lot here riding on the decision in many ways. So first of all, striking down these fentanyl tariffs, the IEEPA tariffs, could provide some short-term relief for those exporters that are still subject to that tariff today, that 35% tariff for goods that are not meeting the CUSMA preferential exemption. Generally speaking, though, I think there's some expectation that the president has many tools in his toolbox. So even if this tariff law was stricken down, we might have to play a little bit of whack-a-mole because there's other tools in the tool belt that the U.S. administration could use. So some potential for relief. Generally, really important overall to see the extent of the U.S. president's powers and what's delegated to Congress, which could provide Canada with some ability to increase our bargaining power, for example, if the court was to strike this down.
If the U.S. Supreme Court does rule against Donald Trump, what happens next, William? And what happens to all that money that's already been collected?
That's, I think, the most important question here. So there's some potential that the courts could also require the refunding of tariffs that have been paid pursuant to that fentanyl tariff, which could provide for a major windfall of U.S. importers and in some cases Canadian exporters that act as the importers bringing it in. So there could be money coming back here. That's generally seen as a low likelihood. Maybe 15–20% chance of success on the refund portion, because it's not necessarily the case that if the law gets struck down, that refunds will follow. So that's a big piece. Certainly there could be some money coming back to Canadian businesses.
And lastly, I wanted to get your take on what we've heard from the Prime Minister, who has said a number of times that compared to other countries, our tariffs, and I'm paraphrasing, aren't so bad. We do have some protection under CUSMA. Your thoughts on that? How does the situation with Canada compare to other countries? We've talked so much, even on this network. We all know how tough it's been for a number of sectors, lumber, steel, aluminum. What do you think, William?
Well, that's exactly right. It's a completely different situation depending whether you're in one of these sectors that is exposed to additional tariffs relating to those Section 232 sectoral tariffs. And the problem is that those tariffs, those sectoral tariffs, are starting to apply to more and more different industries. So we talked about steel and aluminum for a long time and autos, but those tariffs are also now being applied to wood products like kitchen cabinets and furniture products, copper products, and it keeps ballooning out. So I think there's more and more businesses that are being hit by those different tariffs that are not the ones that are currently subject to this appeal before the Supreme Court. So it really is different sectors of the economy exposed in different ways. And there's really start of some real harm in the Canadian industry, particularly for those that are no longer able to export economically to the United States.
William Pellerin is an international trade lawyer at Macmillan LLP. Grateful for your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.